Set I'm free, y'all. Set I'm free, y'all. Set I'm free, y'all. Yes, I am. Set I'm free, y'all. Set I'm free, y'all. Set I'm free, y'all. Ooh. Yes, I am.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is the day the Lord has made, and we're here to rejoice and be glad in it. Welcome to Hope TV. I'm Dewey Smith, one of our Hope dealers here, and I'm so excited that you've tuned in this morning to Hope TV to get a daily dose of hope. So exciting and just exhilarating for me that you've tuned in today, and it's exciting that you've tuned in to our podcast recording. Today we're dealing with a deeper dive, and we've missed you here, deeper dive. We've taken a couple weeks off due to travel schedule, but we're live today, and I want you to drop in or drop a line and call a friend, call a neighbor, and let them know that Deeper Dive is live on this Friday, November 19th. So good to have you here with us, and won't you drop us a line and let us know the city, the state, and the country from whence you're viewing. We take your viewership very seriously here at the Hope TV, and I'm grateful and certainly appreciative to each of you for being a part of the Hope TV community today. So very exciting to have you here with us. So drop a line to a friend and let us know if you're watching. You drop us a line while you're watching. Let me know the city, state, country from which you're viewing. Go ahead and do that now, and it will mean the world to us. And everybody who's watching today, whether it's Apple TV or Roku, Twitch, Amazon Fire TV. We've been very excited to see that our Twitch numbers are growing. And we got the analytics, and the Twitch numbers are rising, fast rising. I'm excited about that. Good morning, Sean. Glad to have you with us. And Amazon Fire TV, of course, Facebook is here with us this morning. Sean is already reporting in. YouTube, I'm sure, is coming along as well. And of course, Twitter and Instagram, of course. Good morning, Lily from Atlanta. Blessings to you. We also have those who are watching through the E. Dewey Smith website, edeweysmith.org, the House of Hope Atlanta website. and of course, the Hope TV HTV now. So whatever platform you're streaming through, welcome. We're excited to have you here with us. We're doing a deeper dive, which is a great conversation. It's a kind of theology conversation, and kind of pushes, some of the limits of things that we probably wouldn't talk about on a Sunday morning, a little bit from a theological perspective. And so we've been doing theology since we started Deeper Dive. And next year we got some even greater plans for Deeper Dive to make it even more comprehensive. So I'm excited that you're here, and we're blessed to have you here with us. Everybody who's with us, we want to remind you that we're doing in-person worship this Sunday at our new West Point location, the House of Hope West Point. It's in Winston, Georgia, in Douglas County. Good morning, Camellia. And so, good morning, Tina, Newcastle, Delaware. And so that new location is in Douglas County. So it's near Douglasville, about 15 minutes from Carrollton, West Georgia University. Hello to everybody who's coming from West Georgia. Of course, we have Villa Rica, Dallas, Georgia, Douglasville, Fairburn, Smyrna, Powder Springs. So everybody, Mableton, Austell. So everybody who's in that area, come on, you're welcome to worship with us this coming Sunday for our in-person worship. And so if you want to attend, it's WPA. You can text the WPA, WPAT, West Point at 11:30. So that's WPAT 11:30. You can text that to the number 678-201-1351. And of course, we would love to have you here with us, and it's going to be a great environment. Got protocols in place to keep you safe. And so we're meeting twice a month on the first and third Sundays right now, just to give us time to make sure that we're getting acclimated back smoothly. So if you want to come and be a part, I think we have some more space available at the West Point location. That's WPAT 11:30. That's West Point 11:30. Again, text that number 678-201-1351. So everybody who's in West Georgia, it's approximately maybe 15 minutes from Six Flags. So if you know where Six Flags is, so just maybe 10, 12 minutes west of Six Flags. That's a good way to kind of, people say, where's that? Right off Post Road. So if it's on Campground Road, which is off of Veterans Memorial. But the best way to think about it in terms of the area, if you know what Six Flags is, good morning, Tom from Victorville, California. So if you know where Six Flags is, just keep going due west. Just keep going west, and exit 30 is Post Road. And so those of you in the Thornton Road area, all that area, but just 10, 15 minutes from Six Flags. And so everybody in Atlanta and Georgia knows what Six Flags of Georgia is. So when you go to Six Flags as a kid, all the screen machine, the rides, and the fun of the Six Flags amusement park, just about 10, 15 minutes from Six Flags. And so this coming Sunday at 11:30, of course, we'll be at the Atlanta location at 9. But I think we don't have any more space for that one. But West Point, we have space. So just text WPAT. That's West Point at 11:30. That's a 678-201-1351. Good morning, Shawana McCall from Dallas, Texas. Blessings to you. And so that's the information. So if you text that, WPAT 11:30 to 678-201-1351, you're gonna get instructions. Instructions will be mailed to you about check-in. We need everybody to check in. So I look forward to seeing those of you Sunday, those who register for the Atlanta service. I look forward to seeing you there at 9. And so we'll have the 9 o'clock service in Atlanta. And then we'll go to the West Point location for 11:30. So I'm excited about it. And I look forward to seeing everybody this coming Sunday. And if you're not going to be in person, no problem. We'll still have our online worship service for you, same time. It's 7:30 and 10:15, 4:30 p.m., 7 p.m., and 10 p.m., all Eastern Standard Time. So If you want to come in person, that'll be 9 a.m. in Atlanta, 11:30 at West Point. If you want to watch online, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard, 10:15 Eastern Standard Time, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm excited about it, and I appreciate you being a part on today. So very, very excited. I want you to listen out. Yeah, while you're watching, thank you. I want you to subscribe, like, comment, or share. Subscribe, like, comment, or share. Every time you subscribe, like, comment, or share, you help us to expand the platform with our engagements and with our algorithms. So go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, share. Costs you nothing to do that, but it's very, very impactful and meaningful for us. Two other things right quick. So of course, in-person worship this coming Sunday, and we'll be back again on December the 5th for in-person worship. So we only have two more in-person worship opportunities after Sunday for the year. First Sunday in December, third Sunday in December. We're getting acclimated back, and want to give ourselves time through the holidays if we have to do any contact tracing. So just to just kind of acclimate this and ease back into our regular schedule. This coming Sunday, we're celebrating 145 years as a church. The Atlanta location is our 145th anniversary. In May of 1876, was this church organized. House of Folk, Greater Travelers Rest. And so we'll be celebrating that Sunday. And so I'm thankful for everybody who's going to be a part. And God's been doing some great things through Hope TV in this time. And also even through the music ministry and through my music endeavors. We started a record label. And you're aware of that. That music is doing very well. I released my first solo project, A Long Time Dream. And that project has been number 3 on the top selling gospel albums chart for 3 weeks since it was dropped a month ago. And we give God praise for that. So this is our 3rd week in number 1. It's the number 1 current gospel album on the charts. So we're excited about that. And we give God praise for that. And then the single, Your Presence is a Gift, this week is number 21 with gospel airplay. And so it's rising, and it was the most added song to gospel radio last week, and we're excited about that. And that's on Billboard, and so the most added Pebble Street Records, as you see that. So God is good, and it's just growing, and it's number 21 on Billboard for this week. And so Your Presence is a Gift. So I'm excited about that. While I'm on that right quick, this Sunday we're going to be announcing pre-orders for my Christmas EP. You heard me right. Not only did we just drop that in October, but we've been working hard. As you can kind of hear my voice, guys. We've been working hard, and we have a Christmas EP that's going to get you in the Christmas spirit. We're doing this as a fundraiser to help our Tabitha's House. Some of you don't know this, but we started a nonprofit called Tabitha's House, which is a nonprofit of our ministry that is geared on helping to empower and to remove young girls from human sex trafficking. So we're one of the few churches in the nation that has 2 residences where we house young girls ages 11 through 16 who've been victimized by human trafficking. We started this nonprofit several years ago, and we're excited that we've helped to rescue over 100 young girls out of human trafficking. And so we provide them with clinical evaluations, detoxifications. Our goal is to produce complete and healed and independent young women who can go and even with their difficult stories be used by God as vehicles and conduits of empowerment for our community. So I want you to keep our Tabitha's House in your prayers. And so this Christmas EP is called Let Praises Ring. You'll hear about it this coming Sunday. It's one of the ways that we want to do some year-end fundraising for Tabitha's House. And so this Christmas EP, you may be pre-ordered on Sunday. It'll be available in 2 weeks on all digital platforms, December the 3rd, but you can start your pre-orders on Sunday. So I'm excited about that. Let Praises Ring. I want everybody to go get it so we can help support our Tabitha's House initiative. So let our presence be a gift to the young girls who've been victimized by human trafficking, and that we're going to stand to bring empowerment And to all those, to all of our directors and people who work with Tabitha's House, it's a very work, very dangerous and hard labor. But they've been called to do it, and they're doing an incredible job. And so we're praying for complete, healed, independent young women of God who can go out and become conduits of empowerment for the world through our Tabitha's House initiative. We've got to stop human trafficking. It's the second largest criminal enterprise now in the entire world, only second to the drug industry. And so we got to do all we can to eradicate human trafficking. So your efforts to support this music project, so only be a $5 donation for it, for the EP, and you'll be able to help us to, and all those proceeds will go to help our Tabitha's House. And so I want you to do it. I want everybody to get your CD or download it. I want you to purchase it. Don't just download it, purchase it, so we can get those proceeds to make a contribution year in to our Tabitha's House initiative. All right. So with that being said, we're getting ready to get started with our deeper dive. Thank y'all for indulging me. Just want to give you some housekeeping stuff so we can be abreast of it. We haven't been in deeper dive for a few weeks. I've been traveling the last couple of weeks, and I want to do this one live so that I can make sure that we are connecting here. But this is a great conversation. We've been talking about, thank you so much. Thank you, Tina. We've been talking about Thomas Aquinas. Our last conversations where we stopped off with Thomas Aquinas, and I want to start back with that today. Thomas Aquinas, and we've been talking about proofs for the existence of God. Proofs for the existence of God. And I want to get into that today, and we're going to finish this out today. Proofs for the existence of God. Thomas Aquinas, one of the leading philosophers and theologians of that Middle Ages period, contributed a lot, not just to Catholicism, but a lot to systematic theology. And one of the things about Aquinas that I love reading, is this whole idea that he wrote about the proofs for God's existence. Thomas Aquinas, a very, very, very important name for theology and philosophy that I'd like you kind of familiarize yourself with. Those who are not assuming that, I don't want to, if you're not familiar with it, let me say it that way. Let me not be presumptuous, because some of you are very, very brilliant. But if you're not familiar with that name, that's a name that I think will be good for you to kind of do some research on him, Thomas Aquinas, just to familiarize yourself with his works. But one of his most famous works is called Proofs for the Existence of God. And we dealt with two of them the last time. I want to give you all five of them today. He gave five proofs. Theologia Summa is what it was called in Latin. It was a summary of theology, and I want to kind of get into that. The first proof of the existence of God, according to Thomas Aquinas, is what he calls the law, the proof of change. What he says is, in everything in life, when we talk about the world move, the sun moves, the world began, there had to be a first mover who's responsible for everything that changes. That the very fact that society and nature is built on change or incorporates change, or that it cannot operate without change, then change means that there has to be a first mover who causes things to change. There has to be a first mover. The first mover is responsible for the specific change. But I think it's very, very, very powerful. The specific change, and good morning to you, Danny. And the other piece behind that change in Aquinas's move, the first mover, this first mover is also sometimes called the unmoved mover. And so there is a first mover who can't be moved, which I think is pretty powerful. So there is the first mover who necessitates and precipitates the change, but that mover can't be moved, which I think is pretty powerful. And so there is the law and the proof of change in this first mover who is behind the change. And and so this is natural. This dealing with nature. Sometimes people it's called natural science. So it's really nature. Now, what I like about this argument and is I think it's beyond nature. It's even spiritual in our lives. Because I think also in our lives, many of us can testify that it's been changed in our lives. And I don't want to sound preachy here because this is deeper dive and this is supposed to be theology. But I think for me, when I think about the changes in my life that have come about, there had to be a God. Now, some people say we grow, we evolve, and because of our own personal growth and evolution, we change as a normal human process in reaction to what has happened in our lives. Many of us are not the same now that we were 10 years ago. We may not, or maybe we may respond differently. And sometimes we say that that's growth. We've experienced more. We mature and we evolve. We become better iterations of ourselves. But at the end of the day, I still believe that there has to be a God who's behind the change. There's an unmoved mover who's behind the change. We used to sing a song. It's a hymn. Oh, what a wonderful change in my life has been wrought since Jesus came into my heart. Floods of joy o'er my soul, like the sea billows roll, since Jesus came into my heart. Since Jesus came into my heart. Since Jesus came into my heart. Floods of joy o'er my soul, like the sea billows roll. Since Jesus, the change in our lives, just like that theological argument, there has to be a mover and there has to be someone who necessitates and who initiates the change. So that's the change argument. The next proof for God's existence is what Aquinas he would call that cause. Cause. The next proof is cause. And so this is causation. This is causation. That's the next proof, causation. Now, this is pretty cool. Causation, because it's a little different from change. This is cause and effect. This is the causation argument. Here's why. It's possible for things to be changed without necessarily being caused. Change is not always based on the beginning of a thing. Cause and effect is more what starts a thing. Just because the thing changes does not mean it will necessarily starts. Something can be changed without the changer starting or originating. Let me make sure, because it's very nuanced here, and I want to make sure it's very clear. Things can change. A person can change something without necessarily starting something. A person can come in your life and you feel changed once that person comes into your life. But although that person can change your life, doesn't mean that person started your life. But the proof of cause and effect, what it says is to every effect, there must be a prior cause. And so when you talk about nature, when you talk about the world being created, when you think about the earth, When you think about the sun, the moon, the constellations, I mean the stratosphere, the hemisphere, the teleospheres, the placement of the moon and the galaxies, there has to be a cause of all that. Now, science has tried to describe it as a Big Bang theory, or when they talk about humanity, that there's a theory of evolution. You know, you got Darwin's theory, or that human beings evolved from apes and from animals, and the Neanderthal man and the mitochondrial Eve. A lot of different thoughts. And there's just a Big Bang that caused a cosmic collision. Everything in the constellations just appeared with this Big Bang. And so sometimes science tries to explain the universe in a scientific way without the inclusion of God. Science will even try to explain the development of the human species and the animal kingdom without God. But for me, at the end of the day, for those who believe in the theory of evolution and those who believe in the Big Bang, I'm not here to argue that. I just want to ask the question. If you believe there's a Big Bang, and that's I don't believe in arguing with people about what they believe. I don't do that. I have much better things to do with my time. Because sometimes when people's minds are made up, you can never convince somebody who's committed to their position, or you can never convince somebody to get understanding if they're committed to misunderstanding. So I just offer my position and try to respect others. But suffice it to say that somebody believes in a Big Bang. My question simply is this: who caused the bang? If you believe that God didn't make man from the dust of the ground, as it is written in Genesis, that God made man from the dust of the ground and breathed into man's nostril the breath of life, and man became a living soul. If you don't believe that, you believe that man came from monkey, you're entitled to your beliefs. My question is simply this: where did the monkey come from? If you believe the sun just appeared and the moon just appeared as the fruit of a cosmic collision, participles and matter just gathered up in the stratosphere, the moon became just an amalgamation of rocks there to reflect the light of the sun. That's what you want to believe, you can believe that. But I still believe in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And I try to say to our students who are in college or in high school, when you go to these, science courses to get a grade, learn the theories, learn what they're saying. You have to understand, explain the Big Bang, explain the theory of evolution. It's okay. Explain how they say the human species came into being. Explain that. Don't go be a rebel without a cause. Go get an A out of the class. But once you've learned what they said about the Big Bang, and once you've answered based upon what they've taught in the textbooks, at the end of the day, when you put that textbook down and you pick up your book, and you remember it simply: in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water. When they talk about man came from monkey, you can ask the question: well, if man came from monkey, why did man stop becoming monkey? When the last time a monkey produced a man? And they try to draw parallels between the human kingdom and the animal kingdom. That's fine. But what caused monkey to stop producing man? If man, who changed it? Who stopped it? Who caused it? I just believe that God said in Genesis 1:26, and God said, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. So for me, there has to be, to every effect, there must be a prior cause. And for me, that's not some scientific um, chart. That's not some scientific data or presupposition. For me, in the beginning, I believe that as scripture declares, that by faith we believe that the world was framed by the word of God. The reason why the sun and the moon are up there without a rope or a chain or a ladder, because when God said, let us, and let there be light, his voice broke through the silence of the not yet universe and declared that. That's why it's still there. That's the sun is there because God lit it one time and it's never gone out or never been to a repair shop because God did it. They say that this earth and the universe has been there for billions of years and stars appeared. How did the stars get there? I believe God lit them one time and God put bulbs in the stars and have caused them to twinkle for billions of years. I believe that. Don't understand all the nuances of how it's there, neither does science. Science is man's best attempt to explain in earthly or scientific terminology what has happened in the universe. But for me, there has to be a cause to every effect. Winter, as long as the earth remaineth, there's going to be seed time and harvest because God is God. And I just believe that. And so there's the change argument, there's the causation argument, but then that's what he calls the argument of contingency and necessity. The cause of contingency and necessity. What is that argument? Basically, contingent and necessity is that there has to be. We talk about the different types of arguments. We talk about the it's called the teleological argument. Sometimes it's called, but contingency and necessity carries the idea that there is a time for every being, and that 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 we when you look at nature, that there's some things that exist because there was a purpose for them. Some things came to be, and some things don't. Some things come into being, some things go out of being. That every being is a contingent being, and that even that being exists in time, and that it's possible that there was a time when nothing was in being, when nothing. So, say for instance, there was a time when there was no need for beings. That's one thing I like about creation. When you think about the first days of, according to Scripture, God doesn't make man until the sixth day of creation, according to Genesis. And then on the seventh day, God rested. Now, what that means is there was a time when no human beings existed, and so initially God created the world without humanity. So there was a time when human beings didn't exist. But then God in time put humanity in time, and so therefore we are contingent beings. And so I think when you think about nature itself, and both these arguments are true. So what this means is God, and I think this is also powerful. I'm glad that God didn't make us first. You know, the God didn't make us first because I think perhaps that were giving us even some other type of superiority notions. You know, so I think what is important is that uh, God breathed our being. God deemed us to be contingent beings, and God created Adam to be a steward over God's creation. As a matter of fact, um, the Bible says in Genesis 2:7, and God created man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostril breath of life, and then God planted Adam eastward in Eden. And so the Garden of Eden was not created after Adam; it was created before Adam. Genesis 2:15 says that God placed man in the garden to dress it and to keep it. And so that was a time when the Garden of Eden existed and Adam did not exist. And so that makes him a contingent being. Um, um, but every but 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 everything that was created may not be in that's so good, Tina, may not be into um may not be in reality right now. Okay. So that's a very powerful. And so this whole idea of necessity and contingency is powerful. All right. And so there are things that may have appeared that may no longer be in being now. You know, if you think about one of the things that can go into being and come out of being, when you think about the prehistoric times, that would be a good example of that was a day and time in which dinosaurs lived. You know, the prehistoric times. And when you think about that, um, dinosaurs existed according to science. They found archives and predators and the brontosaurus and tyrannosaurus rex, but you don't see dinosaurs existing today, right? So something went into being and came out of being. Um, and so when there is a contingent being, there's a time for that thing to exist and a time for it not to exist. For instance, you and I can be called contingent beings. None of us existed in the 1800s, not in flesh. In spirit, God had us in mind, but in flesh, we did not exist. If the Lord delays his return another 100 years, nobody who's watching me right now will be in being. So beings come into existence and go out of existence, and it's still all. And so it's possible for us that these two things can be a reality, that for us to exist and us not to exist. Dinosaurs existed, they no longer exist. We exist in time, but we don't exist in the whole of time. God gives us a specific amount of time here on earth to exist, and that will make us a contingent being. All right? All right, that's good. Um, Here's the other one. This is called the Great Eight. We're gonna call this last one number 4. And we got 2 more. I'm gonna let you go. Gradation that occurs in things, degrees that occurs in things. All right. Um, what is that saying? That's saying that some things are better than others. Um, Gradation says that some things there's an uttermost case. How can I explain that? The closer we get to the sun, the hotter it is. The closer we get to Antarctica, the North Pole, the colder it is. That's a gradation. Um, and so there must be something, um, being, goodness, and other perfection that we call God. So who is the person behind the gradation? Um, that if you go to the Sahara Desert, it's hotter. If you go to the North Pole or Antarctica or Alaska, is colder. There's a gradation, there's a degree of change, there's a difference, there's a variance in those things. Um, so who is responsible? Who who made it hotter in the Sahara and colder in Antarctica? Who did it? Um, who makes it more tropical um, in the Caribbean and makes it more bleak and rainy in the Pacific Northwest? Um, who 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 allows Florida to experience more hurricanes? Allows Chicago to experience more snow, and allows California to experience more earthquakes at the same time. When that can be a storm in the Gulf Coast, a hurricane in Haiti, and an earthquake in California at the same time. The gradation, the gradation. There has to be a God, the degree to which things change. Those things just don't happen. I can, right now, I can take a flight and go to Turks and Caicos, and 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 and, and I can be on the beach today. The same guy can take a flight and go to Alaska and need a coat, or Antarctica and need a coat. Same day, and I can do it at the same time, but the gradation. How do you explain that? You try to explain it scientifically, location, all these other things, and you can come up with all the different meteorological and climatic hypotheses that you want. At the end of the day, the gradation for me is because there is a God. Point, the blank, and the period. All right? And here's the last one. The last one is called, we're going to call this one the governance of things, or it's called the teleological argument. The teleological argument. Okay? Um, it's called the design. All right? All right? The design. The design. Um, Let me give an example of this. Is called, sometimes it's called the governance of things. It's people, when people look at the world, there's another argument. You got the teleological argument, the ontological argument, the cosmological argument, and I wish I could have given you those today. I give them to you next week, so you can have the technical names for each one. The cosmological, that is with the cosmos. The teleological argument, that's the governance of things. The ontological argument. So I give you those names next week. But let me just break it down for you today before I let you go. Um, the teleological argument, there's another term we call intelligent design, um, that typically is used for how intelligently the world was designed. It's called intelligent design. I didn't want to make this too complicated, but let me talk about the teleological argument, or the governance of things. It kind of deals more with natural law. Let me give an example of the governance of things. This is the teleological argument. Here's a good description of that argument, or a good way to explain this argument, this proof. The natural body. Okay, how our bodies were made. Um, um, When you think about how our body was designed, here's one thing about God. God creates the world with systems. It's amazing. When you study science, there are different systems in science. But even the body it's described with systems. The body has different systems that make it operate. The heart was the limbic system, and the different systems, okay, that comprise the human body. How do these systems work? And there are natural systems that don't have a brain. Um, if you cut yourself, one of the first things that happens is blood flows to the area of the cut. Blood doesn't have a brain, but blood flows to the area of the wound. How does blood know how to flow to the area of the wound when blood has no consciousness? At a certain amount of days, the skin, if the dermis or the epidermis have been penetrated through a wound or a cut, blood flows there. The skin knows how to scab itself. The skin doesn't have a cerebral cortex or thalamus or hypothalamus. No consciousness is in the skin, but it naturally knows how to scab itself. When you eat food, it goes down the throat, esophagus, into the gastro area. Knows how to separate itself. Liquids know how to come out as urine. Food knows how to come out through the colon or through the body as excrement, defecation. Food has no brain. How does urine know how to come out as urine, and food knows how to come out as excrement? How do your bowels know how to move? And they don't think. There had to be something. How does blood know how to flow? If you put your hand on a hot stove, your hand won't know it's hot unless your brain sends a signal to your hand to say it's hot. How does it know how to do that? How does it know how to do that? That is a teleological argument. There's a governance of things. Something is behind all of that causes it to work. Are you listening to me? Something is behind all of it that causes it to work. Who is it that causes it to work? There must be some, here's what we call, there has to be an intelligent being. Woo! Intelligent design. There has to be an intelligent being behind all of these things. How does the moon know how to rotate around the sun? The moon doesn't think. The moon doesn't have a brain. The moon is just a big piece of dead rock, but it knows how to rotate. How does it do that? Water comes to earth, goes back and evaporates in the clouds to keep coming down. How does it know how to do that? How does the grass know when and the leaves know when to turn green? And knows when to brown itself and take a break. Grass doesn't think. Grass doesn't have consciousness. How does it do that? There had to be something that designed it to govern it. It's the teleological argument. It just knows how the eye works, how the ears take in sound with no mind, with no brain of its own. It does it by design. How does it do it? Because there is a God who is in control. That's why Jesus once said in Matthew 6, he said, I want y'all to consider the lilies of the field. He said, look at how the lilies and how they are arrayed with apparel. Look at them. How beautiful. He said Solomon in all of his splendor couldn't dress like the lilies and tulips and the dandelions and the roses. Who made the decision for what clothes the roses would wear, and the dandelions and the tulips and the lilies of the field? Who puts clothes on them? You've never seen a lily or a dandelion or a rose going to shopping. Dandelions and lilies, they don't shop for clothes on Amazon. Who clothes them? There had to be an intelligent designer. Look how beautiful they're adorned. And people who love nature take pictures and we go see them. You ever thought about how they got there? You know, Jesus said in Matthew 6, look at the fowl there. Look at the birds. You've never seen a bird. You've never seen a bird with a will work for food sign. Birds don't have unemployment lines. Birds don't do that, but they're fed. And Jesus says this, if God can clothe the lilies of the field, and with all the money that Solomon had, he could not dress as beautiful as the lilies of the field and the dandelions. If God knows how to clothe the lilies and clothe the dandelions and the roses, if God knows how to feed the fowl, the birds, how much more would he do for you when you're his child? There is a God who has uniquely and wonderfully made us. We're wonderfully created in the image of God. Our very bodies. Someone once did a cost analysis of the human body, and they posited that the human body is probably worth about 16 cents in terms of the value. Now, because people are buying body parts, but they're saying the worth and value of how it's designed. What am I saying? What I'm basically saying is how God took something that's really worth nothing and breathed in it and give us life and years. It all works together. How our brains work, how the blood system works. The body just a whole bunch of systems. And this system works. This system works. That's it, Tom. Everything I am, that's it, is because of God. That's the teleological argument. You and I were intelligently designed by God. I don't want us to ever take that for granted. Just using the bathroom. Just have how do the kidneys know how to function? You don't think. That's why people have to get dialysis when the kidneys stop functioning. How does the heart know how to pump blood? How does the body know how to breathe in oxygen? And how do we know how to inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide naturally? How do we know how to do that? You can keep coming up with your scientific arguments. I just tell you simply this. In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. I close with this, and we'll pick this up next Friday. A line of one of my favorite songs that was written by the legendary James Cleveland. God is the joy and strength of my life. He moves all pain, misery, and strife. He promised to keep me, never to leave me. He never ever comes short of his word. I've got to fast and pray, stay in the narrow way. Try to keep my life clean every day. I want to go with him when he comes back. I've come too far and I'll never turn back. God is. God is. God is. God is. God is my all and all. I believe in God. Period. It's in him that we live, in him that we move, in him that we have our being. I hope I didn't sound too preachy today. This is supposed to be kind of didactic and professorial. But let me encourage you, my friends, today. In the words of Jesus in Matthew 6, if God knows how to take care of the lilies and feed the birds, then you take no thought what you're gonna put on, what you're gonna eat, what you're gonna wear. Because God will also take care of you. Believe that. Thank you for spending your Friday morning with me here with a deeper dive. I hope you're encouraged. Every time you go to the bathroom, think about God. Every time you hurt your finger, you hit your finger and it hurts. That's God. God was doing all that to remind you you can't exist without me. I give God the praise for being a loving, kind, and an intelligent God. Y'all go in peace and know this: God's got you. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. And always remember this: if you'll be good to God, God be good to you. Till next time, peace. I love y'all.
Said I'm free.